Now, to officially start things off, it is our pleasure to invite Dr. Juan Dabdoub to the stage for his plenary talk on designing schools for character. Let's all give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much. Ren. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us in this presentation. I was thinking about what to do today because we have already presented this session on the pre-conference, and yesterday we did half of it. So we've been discussing this and we decided to continue where we stopped yesterday. No? So that everyone who was yesterday is not hearing the same thing over again. And we also think that we're going to make a brief summary of what we see yesterday, and maybe this can also help for the new attendants to follow up on what we were presenting. So we talk about good character. We want our students to have good character, to be good persons, to be responsible citizens. And this was a slide in which we tried to describe the goals that we're trying to achieve. No? We want people that care about the ones who are around them, not indifferent to anyone being left behind. We want them not to be dominated by the haste or the many things that need to be done. We want them to be serene, to listen, to transmit peace. We want them to speak their mind, combining courage with prudence, and not remaining silent or indifferent when facing injustice. We want their life purpose to be aligned with what they do, with their job, with their work, and trying to contribute to the common good. We want them to know that their opinions and solutions are not the only ones, not necessarily the best. They're willing to collaborate with others to find what will be better. Of course, it's a pleasure to spend time with them. This is another dimension. We enjoy sharing and spending time in conversations, and they're kind, they're nice, they're friendly. Doing their job well, doing a good job, a good work is an essential part of their vocation, of their call, of their life. And finally, what moves these children or these adults is who they are, their identity and integrity. They are not moved on punishments or threats or rewards or recognitions. They don't need to be watched to comply. These are people who can be trusted. So in general, I think that every parent will agree that this is what we're looking, no? This is really important for us. Of course, academics are also very important, no? But maybe this is a question that we can think and discuss at the end of this presentation. If you had to choose between this and being a very smart child, very good at math, very good at science, very good at engineering, which one would you choose? The other thing that we discussed yesterday is like, hey, we saw that it was very important to create a culture that nourishes, that nurtures this kind of character. And the best way in which we described that culture was like this. Hey, is our school, this is a question that we can ask ourselves as maybe also, I've been told that there's a lot of parents today. Is this true? Can you raise your hand if you're a parent of a school? Yes. Okay, we have. All of you are in the left. You decided, no, choose the left side. What kind of school do we have? Maybe also what kind of family do we have? Is our family or our school a place where people care for one another with designated times and spaces and activities to meet and share? Is this part of our ordinary life? Is our school or family a place in which there's time for reading, for reflection, for conversation, or we're always in a hurry? We're always doing more things. Everything can be discussed, every voice can be heard, and decisions can be made collaboratively with all the stakeholders. By this, I don't mean that everyone has to decide everything. I mean that there are many things that we can discuss, and maybe we can agree on something. Absenteeism is not an issue. People come to work because they enjoy what they do and they find satisfaction in it. Teachers and staff typically collaborate, working together with openness to learning from one another. It's not that everyone is just looking out for themselves or doing just their thing and it doesn't matter what the others do. We're invested in the rest of the people that form part of our community. The veteran students support the new ones, and they take pride in caring for them, in helping them, or even in serving them. And instead of admiring people who cheat or who go to the easy path, we admire integrity. We admire students who do a good job. We want to be like them. And finally, is our school a place in which, what motivates people stem from their identity and integrity? It's a community in which we feel trusted and we are trusted. And again, we said yesterday, a lot of leaders want to prevent risk at any chance. The problem about avoiding or destroying any chance for risk is that it's very hard for trust to exist if there is no risk. Because if there's no risk, what are we trusting? So sometimes if we as leaders, or maybe as parents, if we avoid any chance of any risk, implicitly and sometimes explicitly, what we're saying is, we don't trust you. That's why we cannot take any risks. And finally, the idea that we saw yesterday we did tell a joke that I'm not going to repeat because it's a very bad joke, about the light and the darkness with the keys. We see that a lot of leaders are trying to build this culture by doing the things that are below the light, doing more things, or finding a different method, or having more money, or selecting better families, teachers, children, or improving the communication, or the message, or the words that we have. And I cannot go through this all over again, but we saw that if we want to build this culture, what we need is to promote identity, relationships, integrity, motivation, service, trust, peace. And it's really hard to achieve these ones by doing what is below the light. What we will be discussing on the training that we have next week is precisely how to promote this. And I think this quote was worth it to put it again because it was one of that was the presentation that we had yesterday on a video about Tom Licona. And the single most powerful tool that we have to impact a student's character is our own character. A lot of people told us we're more worried about the character of the teachers or the staff or the principals than the character of the children. But we believe that either our teachers are okay, or the parents are okay, or it will be very hard for teachers or parents to help the children to be okay. Either the teachers are cultivating a good character, or they won't be able to help children on their journey to cultivate a good character. If our teachers are not growing as a person in their jobs, it will be very hard for them to help children to grow as a person on their work. So following up, this was just a brief summary from yesterday. The fifth idea, something that Father Esteban de Saz was mentioning the other day, I think is a very similar idea. The seed approach. This is another way of seeing education or of seeing formation. I believe that a seed, it's a mystery. Nowadays, it's still a mystery because a seed is capable of putting together soil and water and turning it into an apple or a banana or what's the name of this purple fruit that we have now? The ube, turning it into an ube, baby. So, and there's no technology right now. There's no artificial intelligence that is able to turn soil and water into a fruit or a vegetable. It's a mystery. Maybe one day we will be able to solve it, but right now it's not in our hands. What we do know and we have become really good at through the generations is finding out which are the best conditions that we can gather around the seed for it to grow, to flourish, to bear fruit. We're really good at that, But we don't know what the seed has to do. That's a mystery. I think we can do a parallelism with what happened with people, with persons. Do we know what the people have to do with their lives in order to flourish, to become who they are, to become the person who they're called to be, to become the best version of themselves? I don't think we do. I believe that's a task that each one of us has to work out through our lives. And if someone is trying to tell us, it's like asking someone else to live your life in your behalf. And that's not healthy. in any way. So I believe that what we have to do to promote formation, or by promote the growth of our students, or our parents, or our teachers, or the principals, is not by telling them what to do with their lives. It's trying, or maybe we can share some of the knowledge that we have from our own experience. That can be done. But mostly the most important thing, I think, would be to gather the best conditions that we can around them so that they can flourish. Something similar to the conditions that we saw before of a good culture. I usually put this picture. This is the Camino de Santiago in Pamplona, University of Navarra. You're all invited anytime you want. It's full of sunflowers, since the beginning of May until August. It's full of and the conditions that we have in Pamplona are really good for sunflowers, It's amazing, It's full of them. However, if we planted a seed of sunflower in Siberia or in the Patagonia, it wouldn't grow. And if it would grow, it would decay suddenly and it would die. It wouldn't flourish, it wouldn't bear fruit. And I use this image because sometimes, have you ever seen a child that is like this? Yeah, I think if we're educators, sometimes we have seen, or even at the university level, you can find young men and young women that are all like this. And usually educators are pretty hasty, saying they didn't have enough willpower. They didn't desire to flourish. Or maybe sometimes they even say, they have not understood. We have not explained them pretty well what does flourishing means. As if it was a problem of understanding, what would save them from this awful destiny. And I'm not saying that it is important to share what a good life, to tell people what a good life consists on, and maybe from a very Aristotelian point of view in talking about virtues. But usually if you find a child or a person who is like this, most of the times it's because of the conditions that they were living on. Not because they didn't know, why is this flower like this? Well, because it's in a place that it has sun, that it has a good soil, that it has water, the right temperature, it's fine. What does a child need to flourish? If you're in a school in which you're loved, and you can love the people, if people is important for you, you're important for the rest of them, you're not forced into doing things that you don't want to, they can't with you, you can have initiative, you feel respected. That's pretty much it. You don't need